Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Data Specification Webinar. My name is Jenny, and I'll be facilitating today's event. And today I'm joined by Maitri from the Technical Design Authority. And just before we get started, I just want to go through some housekeeping bits. So to let you know that this event will be recorded and the slides will also be available at the end of this week. We will be using Slido, and the QR code is on the screen now, as well as the joining code, and I will also pop a link in the chat for everyone to join. And there will be opportunities for a Q&A at the end, so if you have any questions, just pop them into Slido. So the link is now also in the chat. I'll wait for people to join, and then we can share the agenda with you. Just while people are joining, this is the agenda for today. It's a 1-hour session, so we have a lot to get through in an hour. So I'll hand over to Maitri.
Thanks, Jenny. Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Data Specification Training event. My name's Maitri, and I'm one of the REC Code Managers within the Technical Design Authority. Today, we're going to cover a few different topics, but namely go through the REC Data Specification items and provide an overview of what it is, how you can access the information, and how you can make changes to the data specification. After, we're going to go through the contents of the slides. I'll give you a short live demonstration within the REC portal, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end of the session for you to ask any questions, and we'll try and get through them all. If not, and if there's any outstanding that can't be answered today, then we'll take these away and come back to you as part of the post-event pack. Next slide, please, Jenny. So firstly, we're going to look at the REC data specification, what it is, how you can access and download and navigate through the dashboards. So the Energy Market Data Specification Catalogue describes the data items and market messages that are used by industry parties to send and receive information. It includes not only REC-owned items, but also messages and data items which are owned and governed under different codes such as the balancing and settlement code, distribution connection and use of system agreements codes, uniform network, smart energy codes, and the REC, which you can see on the right hand side there. In terms of items governed under the REC, the data specification contains the contents of the data transfer network, DTN, which is electricity based, which was previously defined under the master registration agreement, and the gas market messages that were previously defined under the supply point administration agreement. And if you have a look at the screenshot there on the bottom left hand corner, the full REC data specification catalogues can be downloaded from the REC portal via the code products drop down menu in 3 formats. So access database, SQL, backpack, and HTML. And next slide, please. So if we just have a look here, you can just click through on this slide, Jenny. I've just posted a few tips when accessing these documents. So if the artifact doesn't download automatically, don't worry, it will open right here in your browser window. To return to the dashboard, simply click your browser's back button, and if you're working with multiple items, right-click the link or use the right finger tab on your laptop or mouse and choose Open Link in New Window, which makes it much easier to manage several artifacts at once. Next slide, please. And you can click through this as well. So when you're accessing the REC data specification, you can access all REC data specification catalogs, dashboards, and documents from within the REC portal under the code products. And all the items included on the right-hand side of the screenshot you can see on this slide. I'll just go from top down. So what's included is the market messages. We have a dashboard for market messages, which are the full composite structure of a collection of data items used to send flows between parties. We've then got the data items. This is a dashboard that provides access to all the data items in one place. We've then got the data specification catalogs. These define the market messages and the associated data items across the system. And next we've got the data access matrices. These matrices define which organizations can access specific types of data within the inquiry services. And the data specification documents. This section contains multiple documents that outlines the rules and detailed information related to the data spec. And lastly, we've got the meter product data. These tables contain the latest gas meter product information, including response codes. Next slide, please. And you can click through. Yeah. So you'll see here instructions on how to access the data specification documents. So just start by clicking on the code products tab, and from there select the data specification catalog, which will bring up a list of available options for you to explore. Next slide, yeah. We'll now look at market messages. So as I said before, market messages are the full composite structure of a collection of data items used to send flows between parties. And what that means is just, example would be between industry and supplier, and you can send messages that includes all the information of, let's say, like a meter, metering details. Selecting market messages under code products will open the dashboard you see on the left-hand side of the slide. Here you can search both full and partial matches using terms to refine the market messages you wish to view. You can also refine your search using source from, which is in the red circle, and target to. The search output will provide the output for one or many depending on the terms of the search criteria. You will always find a full list of all market messages under the search dashboard, which can be scrolled through, which is the list that you can see in the screenshot. Next slide, please. Once you've found the market message you want to view, you can select it, which will open the full page as you see in the screenshot. Here you'll find the full name and REC reference, any legacy reference and message versions, a full description of the message, and notes related to the message. You will also find a table of applicable scenario variants. Scenario variants are the permissible options of parties who can send, receive the market message. Each of these variants have a specific reference number. The table will also display the code owner, which is the code under which changes are governed. Next slide. Yeah. So each scenario variant may have different conditions for the permitted flow structure that need to be issued. The flow structure will be displayed under the SV table relevant to the chosen option. So this slide just shows a click through if you clicked on all those options and what would open up. Yep. Thank you. What we're now going to have a look at is the market message structure. So all market messages are sent or received within a defined structure. These will all have header and footer formatting. The data specification describes the content of the messages and how it should be structured. We're going to take a brief walkthrough of what the items show in the structure here. So the first thing that we can see is the group ID on the left-hand side, and this represents a line within the market message file. Group description is a description of the data items included within the group to be provided, which specify relevant information. Then we've got the range. This outlines how many instances a group needs to be implemented, including the minimum, sometimes referred to as modality, and the maximum number of instances, sometimes referred to as cardinality. We've got the condition as well. So that refers to any specific data item conditions which have to be met when issuing the flow. And you can have a look at the example on the screen there. After that, we've got the levels, presents the relationship between each of the data items within a group and their conditionality. So 1 equals mandatory, 0 equals optional, and C equals conditional. Conditional items will have the condition specified. There's one data item rule which presents whether a rule is associated with the data item, which specifies the rule. You can find out more about data flow structures in the data transfer handbook. So for DTN messages and GAS user file design specification for RGMA and legacy SPAA messages. These are published by Electrolink. For messages sent over IX, the UK link manual provides flow structure information. Next slide, please. And you can click through. So if we have a look at the market message structure, at the top, we normally have the header section, which includes key information such as who is sending the file, who is receiving it, and the date the file was created or transmitted. The main part of the slide shows the content of the file. The data specification only provides this information about this content, which is what you can see in this screenshot. At the bottom, the footer confirms how many records are included in the file, helping to ensure completeness and accuracy. For more detailed guidance on the header and footer sections, you can refer to the Data Specification Guidance document, which is available in the Knowledge Centre. Next slide, please. And yeah. So what are data items, which is the next on the list on the code products? So as with market messages, there is also a user dashboard for data items, which is likewise found under code products. A data item is a specified piece of information, which is validation conditions, which need to be met for it to be successfully issued via a market message. When selected, the dashboard will open, and again, much like the market message dashboard, you can complete full partial searches to refine your search. You can use the REC data identifier reference, the local legacy reference, or message name as search terms. A full list of data items is provided without any search criteria as well. You can select the relevant data items from the dashboard, which will open the data item page. Here you will find information such as the REC DI reference and name, the legacy reference, data type, and the data item owner. Much like what we discussed above, the owner is the specified code which any change is governed under. We also have the description and data item format validation conditions. Right, next slide, please. So if applicable, you will see a data enumerations table, which lists the valid values for the data and their description. If we just look at the validation conditions from this example we have on the screen and delve a little deeper into what these conditions mean. So on that screenshot on the right hand side, you can see the logical length. This is the number of characters required without any additional allowable symbols. For our example here, we have 2, which relates to the value for the value enumerations. We've also got the decimal length. This is the number of characters required to be present following a decimal place. In our example, we have 0 as the valid value has no decimal place. We've also then got the physical length. This is the total length of a data item, which would include any spaces or symbols, which we do not have in our example, so that is 2. Data type included under the title of the page. All data items must conform to a certain format within the data specification. The data types are text and symbols, which is a string, and true or false indicators. It may also include integers or number types. The data type format rules within the allowed data types, data items, must be further defined through a set of rules. The data specification contains a number of format rules which govern character sets and formats. For this example, this data type rule is being used for transferring data across the data transfer service, and its rules relates to level B DTS variants. The notes confirm the rules for this format rule are found within Annex C. To note, notes also confirm any other information which may be useful for users to see. Finally, from the data item page, you can see a table of all associated market messages the items are included within. You can select from this table to be taken to the market messages page we reviewed above. Next slide, please. So we've just got an example of this here, of the data specification. So in this example, we can see how by clearly defining data items and market messages, the data specification ensures that information can be shared between parties, machine to machine. So on the left-hand side, we have the data collector who has made an appointment with the consumer for the data collector retriever to go and read the meter between 8 and 11 a.m. on the 1st of Feb. Part of the information that must be shared is data collector retriever will require a ladder to access the meter location. The market message MM00219 and the flow D0290 structure confirms that group 88B confirms appointment time slots, and group 89B holds data item meter location, which have a valid set of enumerations related to the meter's position and confirms logistics for the data retriever to plan for. For example, in this one, a ladder will be required. We can see from the example on the screenshot between the computers. So if you have a look at the bottom screenshot in the green circle, a market message in flat file format, which confirms the data structure that will be issued between the parties. So I'll just give everyone a moment to have a look at that. So searching within the data specification, there is also a search function which exists outside of the market messages and data items dashboards, which searches a broad range of document data that exist. This search function is available on all REC portal pages on the top right-hand banner. Please be aware, though, that if you wish to search for items related to the data specification, you will need to already be on a data specification page. Using this search function will return data where the term is mentioned. As a REC-defined term within REC legal text or in a market message data item, it can help provide a full picture between process and data. So next slide, please. So now we're going to have a look at how changes can be made to the REC data specification. So we're going to have a look at data items and messages that are owned by a code. So data items and market messages scenario variants are owned by a code. As we've seen previously, the data specification will confirm the scenario variant and data item owner. Any changes to that data must be approved under the governance mechanism of the SVDI owner. In some cases, different scenario variants related to a single market message may be owned by different codes. Next slide, please. So any changes to the data specification which are REC owned will fall under the REC change governance rules. However, if a change to the data specification is a result of a non-REC owned item, there are two possible scenarios that it can fall under. So we have the single code impact. So that is when it's a single change can be raised directly with the code manager or the administrator who is the owner. Approval of any changes will be managed by the appropriate governance mechanism if that is not the REC. Then the REC code manager will be informed of the changes and the implementation dates to ensure that the REC data specification is updated. So if you have a look at this example at the bottom, so example 1, that would be a single code impact. And then the multiple code impacts, this is where multiple changes need to be raised under each impacted code. Where there is a cross-code impact, the cross-code steering group will ensure that the change plans for all linked changes are aligned across the different code bodies and ensure coordination between code bodies for engagement, implementation so that industry are informed. And you can see that in the example at the bottom, example 2. I'll just give everyone a sec to read that. Support can and will be provided if there are any uncertainties from change proposers through the REC change team when a change or issue has been submitted, or prior to that, if required, through emailing the REC inquiries mailbox. So we're just going to have a look now at the data specification pre-releases. So once a change has progressed through the necessary governance and has reached an approved state, it can then be included within a release. So changes to the data specification will occur in line with the change calendar release windows, February, June, and November. There may be some occasions where an extraordinary release window is required. These will be communicated to industry. Once a change proposal has been approved by the relevant committee or code body and set a status of awaiting implementation, it will generally fall into the next appropriate release window. The code manager will make any updates to the REC data specification in pre-release catalogs to ensure parties have all the relevant information as early as possible and to minimize impact to internal systems. The pre-release versions of the data specification catalogs will be released on the REC portal under change and release as early as possible. Generally, months before the release window occurs. However, the pre-release date depends on the changes that are being implemented, i.e., if a required change has not yet received the relevant change approval status, this may delay the pre-release. Next slide, please. So once the release window data date has been reached, the final new iterated versions of the data specification catalogs will be released to the REC portal under code products, data specification catalogs. The market messages and data items dashboard will also be updated, and any REC data, digital REC schedules and documents will be updated as well. Any changes to the REC and REC data specification are communicated in numerous ways via the REC portal, bulletins, or if you have your organization would like to receive specific communications as to when REC data specification releases are occurring, you can be added to our REC data specification distribution list to receive direct email updates. We're now going to do a live demo. So Jenny, if you just want to pass over to me. I'm just going to share the REC portal link so everyone can do it as we go along. I'll just give you a few minutes to log in. Yep. So hopefully everyone's got that open now. And if we have a look here in the top left, and you can go along with me so we can do it together, just click on the code products and you'll see all the links that we've just described in this session. So having a look at market messages, you can search by what we said before, and you can filter the source and you can choose the to and from. So they're all different suppliers, and that would change the list that comes up. If you just search by a market message, then the whole list will come up as well. Give everyone to test that out some time. And similarly for the data items, you can search the data item and you can see what's going to come up here. So if you have a look at this information, you can see all the market message IDs, the local catalog reference, and open up the structure. Within the structure, you can see the group ID, group description, the range that we discussed, the conditions, if there are any. So this one has a condition, and then all the different levels. At the top, you can see the variant ID. So every variant, whatever variant this is, the name of it and the source. If you click back on code products and we go to data specification catalog, you can click through and download the different types or formatting of these documents. And just remember the tips that I posted earlier. We'll send this in the post session notes. So if you get stuck, you can just refer back to that. And yeah, so you get and all the documents that we have here. All right, so I'll just stop sharing there. I know that we did that quite speedily, and we can just have a look now. So if you have any questions, or if you want to join our REC Data Specification distribution list to get email updates, just email inquiries@recmanager.co.uk. Next slide. And yeah, we've got some time for question and answers. So if anyone has any questions, we'll just get up the Slido and we can go through that.
Thanks, Maitri. We don't have any questions at the minute, so I will just leave that on the screen there for a moment, just in case anybody has any questions.